Hello everyone, this is PZA totalwar, and in today's video I'm going to showcase for you guys the best Warhammer 3 items post update 6.2, and I have only included the items that have gotten some sort of update in this latest patch. Another important thing to note is that I haven't only included the rarest items, because that would be a really lame list of only including the rare items, as there are even common items that outshine the rare items. So without further ado, let's just get into the list. Executioner's Axe has gotten a lot more better. The melee attack reduction has gone from -5 to -8. You still have the sounding attack and also the 20% weapon strength, but now it gives you the executor attribute, which means if you hit someone that is under 20% hit points, you're going to instantly kill them. Why this is so amazing? Because only a handful of characters have access to this, namely Yuan Bo and Bragg the Gutsman, the legendary hero for ogres, which makes it an insanely powerful item to use for your heroes and lords. Obsidian Lootstone used to be one of the worst items in the game in my opinion, as it only provided you with spell resistance, which is very situationally useful, but now on top of the spell resistance, it provides you with 350 barrier hit points. And as you guys know, barrier is essentially free hit points which you can regenerate by staying out of the battle, so I would rate this item very highly, especially considering it's only an uncommon item, which is a lot more easier to acquire. The armor of meteoric iron now provides you with 35 armor instead of 10, and having higher armor for any character, especially the characters with low armor, is going to be very useful, as only the armor piercing damage is going to pierce armor, and having more armor is always better than not. And 10% ward save also helps, as ward save negates all damage by 10%. Now we get to the other Trickster Shard, which used to be one of the worst blue items in the game. Now with the changes it had, it's potentially one of the best items in the game. The passive ability of this item now not only reduces the spell resistance of the enemies by 20%, but also the physical resistance, missile resistance, flame resistance, and their ward save by 20% in the vicinity of 55 meters for all of the enemies. So if they have any of these resistances, it's only gonna get reduced by up to 20% of the better resistance, to my understanding. So if they have 20% physical resistance and 20% ward save, it's not going to reduce both of those by 20%, but rather the better variant, which is ward save, because ward save includes the physical resistance. This is absolutely a humongous upgrade for this item, as we never had an item before that would reduce the ward save of enemies in the vicinity by any percentage. We had the physical resistance, missile resistance, and even spell resistance reduction, but never a ward save reduction. So imagine you're going up against Vlad von Karstein, which ends up having a lot of ward save using his items and abilities, and it can just reduce his ward save by 20% and essentially do 20% more damage to Vlad von Karstein or any other strong character with a lot of ward save, and kill them 20% faster. All of this makes this item one of the best, if not already the best item in the game. On top of all this, it also gives your character 300 barrier hit points, which, as I mentioned before, it is literally free hit points. Talisman of Endurance now additionally provides you with 25% battle healing cap. This would be really useful for characters that could somehow regenerate either regeneration, hunger, or other abilities, as it gives them more staying power, letting them take more hits and deal damage for longer, essentially providing a lot more value for you in the battlefield. An example of that could be Isabella von Karstein, as she does have many ways of healing herself, and this item would be absolutely perfect for her, as she doesn't have a unique talisman like Vlad von Karstein, so she can make perfect use of this item. Engineer's Knapsack had an absolutely huge upgrade, as it used to be a rare item before, but now it's only a common item, and on top of the bonuses it used to provide you, it now additionally gives you 20% more ammunition, making it one of the best items for characters with range attacks, which could help out other range characters by restocking their ammo in the battlefield. And having multiple engineer knapsack on your characters in each one of your armies could essentially give your missile units in the battlefield almost unlimited ammo, for a short period of time at least. Forbidden Rod also had a really great upgrade, as it provides you with 10% spell intensity on top of the Forbidden Rod ability. Before the update, the only way to get additional spell intensity was stacking up characters with spell mastery, which would then boost up the mage's spell intensity in their army, having greater arcane conduit on your characters, which gives 10% additional spell intensity, or some other characters having spell intensity in the skill tree that you could acquire. And Forbidden Rod was always a great item. It would give you additional power reserve, power recharge rate, but damage you a little bit, and you had 3 uses of this, but now having 10% additional spell intensity would make this item a lot more better. And bear in mind, it's only an uncommon item, which you can get it a lot more frequently compared to the rare items. Trickster Shard is another uncommon arcane item that is going going to get a mention in this video, as it now increases the Winds of Magic cost for all the enemies by 10% in the local region. And bear in mind, you can stack this up with more Trickster shards. So if you have 5 characters with 5 Trickster shards in your army, that is going to increase the Winds of Magic cost for all the spells of the enemies by 50% in the local region. So if you're casting a spell that costs 10 Winds of Magic normally, it's now going to cost 15 Winds of Magic. That is going to drain the enemy's Winds of Magic much faster, leaving them with fewer spells to cast and making their spellcasters far less effective. And that is why this item is so freaking good. Corrosive Blade has also gotten an insane buff, as the Weeping Blade contact effect now reduces the enemy armor by 50% no matter how much armor they have. They could rock 120 armor and one hit would reduce their armor all the way down to 60. This effect lasts for 10 seconds, so you can essentially hit a dwarven enemy with 120 armor every 10 seconds, and their armor is going to go all the way down to 60, making your non-armor piercing damage a lot more effective against them. And the armor piercing damage of this item has gone from 35 to 45, making it one of the best items in the game, and it's only an uncommon item, which makes it so freaking good. Another important thing is that the Corrosive Blade is a unique item for the race of Skaven. Book of Secrets is a Tzeentchian unique item, and it now reduces the Winds of Magic cost for all the spells by 10%. The only other non-unique way of reducing the Winds of Magic cost is actually getting the defeat trait of Yonbo, which reduces the Winds of Magic cost by 15% for all the spellcasters in Lord's army. Obviously, there are characters that in their skill line have Winds of Magic cost reduction for all of their spells or some of their spells. We're not actually including those guys in here, but you can give this item to any Tzeentchian spellcasters to reduce their Winds of Magic costs for their spells and effectively make them a lot better spellcasters. Now let's get to another Tzeentchian unique item, the Crystal Pennant, which now provides you with 14% ward save and also 15% additional magic item drop chance from the battlefield. Since the latest update, the chance of items dropping after any battle has significantly reduced. I'm not sure about the exact drop rate, but in my test runs where I recruit 4 lords as early as possible and try to fight every battle with all 4 of them to maximize the item drop chance, as every lord and army has a separate drop rate for the items, I'm getting almost half as many items as I used to, which is a significant drop compared to before the update. So for this reason, this item is extremely valuable alongside the ward save that it provides you with. The Null Plate is demonic specific item that used to be very mid, as it only provided you with 6 melee defense and 25% spell resistance. As I've mentioned before, spell resistance is arguably the worst resistance in the game alongside fire resistance, but now this item provides you with 400 barrier hit points, and as you guys know it, I absolutely adore barrier hit points. So the barrier hit points alongside the 6 melee defense makes this an absolutely great item. Void Pendulum has gotten a massive upgrade, as it now provides the enemies with 50% additional miscast base chance for all of the spells in the local province. Why this item is so freaking good? Because for reference, Aldous Caskets of Sorcery, which is supposed to be a unique purple item, only gives 20% miscast base chance for the enemies and also reduces the control by 2, and the worst effect of all, it reduces the Winds of Magic of that province to the lowest level upon turn start. That item is a unique purple item. Void Pendulum, on the other hand, is only a common item, and that's the exact reason why I'm rating Void Pendulum as highly as I am. The Armor of Eternal Servitude now provides you with 10% additional battle healing cap on top of regeneration, 10% ward save, and 15 armor. Why this item is so good? Because the 10% battle healing cap directly complements the regeneration, giving your characters a lot more staying power in the battle, on top of the ward save and the armor contributing to their defensive stats. Dawnstone is a meager common item, but it provides you with 250 barrier hit points. It used to provide you with a tiny physical resistance, but now it gives the 250 barrier hit points, which makes it such an amazing item, especially for a freaking common item. Now that we talked about the Forbidden Rod, let's get to another item which is actually not on my list. I just wanted to mention this. This item is Warpstone Token, which is a unique item for the Skaven. It is very similar to the Forbidden Rod, as it provides you with 10% spell intensity, but it also gives you a negative of 10% additional miscast base chance, and that's also one of the only items that has has gotten a negative added on top of the positive bonuses in this newest patch. The Cloak of Feathers, another uncommon item, this time unique for the Lizardman. It used to provide you with 20% spell resistance, but now it also gives you 350 barrier hit points, making it such a great item. Interesting pattern that I've noticed here is that so many items that only had spell resistance before now also have barrier hit points on top of that to complement them, making them better items in general. Divining Rod is another item that adds additional magic item drop chance from the battlefield plus 20%, and as I've explained before, anything that gives additional magic item drop chance is a lot more useful, especially post 6.2 updates, and you're gonna have a lot more chance of getting better and rarer items in the future using these items in the campaign map and the battlefield. Now let's get to a couple of the items that now provide you with additional research rate, one of them being the Divine Plaque of Protection, which provides you with 5 research rate, but not only that, but also 4% ward save and 5% missile resistance and 5 corruption reduction in the local province. Alchemist Mask is another item that provides you with research rate if you want to get these additional research rate, but you don't want to use the item on your heroes or your lords in the battlefield. You can always recruit a lord, equip this item on them, and then disband them, and they're going to keep the item and the research rate effect, giving you additional research rate, so you can research your technologies a lot more faster. Sky Titan Relic is a unique Cathayan item that you would get from completing the caravans, providing you with 20 research rate, which is the most amount of research rate any item gives you in the game right now, making it extremely unique and valuable. The Lifebane Blade used to be an absolutely amazing item back in the day, as it provided you with 8 melee attack, 10 charge bonus, and Lifebane Blade, which regenerates your hit points. But now it has a new effect called Inevitable End. Spoiler alert, there's another item that also has this effect. It essentially prevents the enemies from healing themselves for 10 seconds after you hit them, and I really adore the combination of you regenerating with this item and not allowing the enemies to regenerate, making you a lot more likely to come on top in your encounter with that particular enemy. The Chalice of Blood and Darkness is another item which gives miscast base chance increase of 20% for enemy spellcasters in the local province, which again makes it better than that unique purple crappy item Aldra's Caskets of Sorcery, which is also very rare to drop. And on top of that, it increases your Winds of Magic power reserve by 1 per turn, not that big of a deal, but the Chalice of Blood and Darkness passive ability heals you if enemy spellcasters in your vicinity cast any spells. Spirit Sword is the other item that provides you with Inevitable End contact effect, preventing enemies from healing. It's a unique rare item for the Wood Elves. On top of the Inevitable End effect, it gives magical attack and 100 armor piercing weapon damage, making it an absolutely amazing item. The Wild Seed is a unique item for Nurgle. It used to only provide you with regeneration, but now it directly complements the regeneration by giving you 30% more battle healing cap, which as I explained before gives you a lot more holding power in the battlefield. And if you slap this item on an Exalted Great Unclean one, their hit points is going to increase by approximately 3000 points. Them having regeneration makes them an unkillable fat chunk of shit. Bale Sword now also has a new effect called Slow Death, which drains the hit points of the enemies when you hit them by 11 to 22 hit points per second on top of the 5 melee attack and 10% weapon strength. Very interesting item, unique for Nurgle. The Scroll of Astromancy is another uncommon item, this time unique for Cathay, which reduces events of magic cost but only for the overcast spells by 10%. As I have mentioned, there is only a handful of ways to reduce events of magic cost for spells, although this one is only overcast, so if an overcast spell costs 20 events of magic, with this item equipped, you can cast them for 18 events of magic instead, which is unlike Trickster Shard, not stackable because it's only for the character wielding the item. Nonetheless, a pretty good item. Now we get to the only unique purple item that I've included in this list, the Scintillating Shield. It provides you with 20% miscast base chance for all the enemy spellcasters in the local province and a whopping 1000 barrier hit points for your character, and also charge reflection, which I don't really care about that much. But the fact that it gives 1000 barrier hit points, and that's actually the most barrier hit points any item actually gives in the game, which automatically makes this an insane item. Add on top of that the charge reflection and a 20% miscast base chance for the enemies, and you're gonna have a perfect item. Usually unique purple items come with some sort downside on top of the bonuses they provide, but this one doesn't have any downside whatsoever. The Father of the Blades now provides you with 12 melee attack, 12 melee defense, and also the ability which increases your armor piercing weapon damage by 25% and reduces all of the enemy's melee attack in the vicinity of 20 meters by 24 for 33 seconds, potentially making this one of the strongest, if not the strongest, non-unique sword in the game. Now let's get to some items that provide you with additional campaign movement range in this latest update. The Scales of the Celestial Court, which again is a unique Cathayan item, provides you with 5% additional campaign movement range. The other item that I found that it gives campaign movement range is the Moranian Vashard, which is a unique High Elven item. It provides you with 7% additional campaign movement range, which in my opinion is always a great addition for any character, because having higher mobility on the campaign map and being able to get from one place to another faster is extremely valuable, and it could save your ass in many different situations. Hungering Blade is a unique Cornish item. It provides you with 10 melee attack, 10% weapon strength, 20 charge bonus, and also the passive ability Hungering Blades, which many of the Cornish characters can get, but some of the Cornish characters cannot get this ability, so you can give them this ability by equipping this item on them, making them hit a lot more harder after having more than 40 kills. Armor of Khorne had the biggest armor upgrade for any of the items in the game. It went from 25 armor to 75 armor. For a race like Khorne that most of the characters already have high armor, it does seem not that valuable, but you are completely wrong. It could be an excellent item for the Heralds of Khorne, Bloodspeaker Lords, and the Blood Reaper heroes, which don't have that much of an armor compared to the other Cornish characters, boosting their armor to be even higher than some of the Dwarven Lords. Magnificent Armor of Borek Beetlebro now provides you with 30 armor instead of 10% ward save, and 4 melee defense, making it one of the best blue armors in the game. We all know about the Talisman of Preservation, the best non-unique talisman in the game. It only used to give you 16% ward save, but now it gives you 18% ward save, which is not that big of a boost, but anyone that has ever played this game knows that 2% ward save could save your life in many different situations. And for anyone trying to get to 90% ward save with their characters, they know how valuable that 2% ward save is. So Talisman of Preservation has gotten all the better. Absolutely lovely. So these were my best Warhammer 3 items post 6.2 item rework patch. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe, and also comment which one of these items is now your favorite item. If you want to check out all the item changes in update 6.2, you can click on this video. This is PZA totalwar, and I will see you guys later.